My ex ended our engagement 7 days before our wedding, in a text message. 3 years ago, I was standing in a bridal shop, staring at myself in the mirror while a seamstress adjusted the lace on my dress. My phone buzzed. I smiled. I assumed it was Caleb confirming his flight to Hawaii. Instead, I read, I'm already at the airport. Not for Hawaii. For Switzerland. Permanent move. 7 days before our wedding. After 3 years together. After 200 invitations with our names written in gold script. He ended it in 3 paragraphs. He'd been offered his dream research position. He knew I wouldn't leave my career or my family. He'd been thinking about it for months. And decided it would be easier to leave than to have an honest conversation. Easier. For him. I don't remember driving home. I just remember the silence when it finally sank in. I didn't get out of bed for 2 weeks. My mom canceled the vendors. My sister returned the dress. My friends messaged 200 guests who had already booked flights. I stared at the ceiling, replaying everything, wondering how someone could say they loved you and disappear without a real goodbye. 6 weeks later, there was a knock at my door. Takeout containers on the counter, curtains drawn, dishes growing stale in the sink. It was his cousin. Caleb had paid him $2,000 to pack up his things and ship them overseas. No one else in the family agreed to help. He stepped inside quietly, started folding clothes into boxes. At some point, he stopped, sat across from me and asked very gently, "Are you okay?" Not polite, not rushed. Like he genuinely wanted the answer. And something in me cracked. The words came out messy. How blindsided I felt. How stupid. I felt for planning a future with someone who had already decided to leave it. How his silence made me question my worth. He didn't interrupt. He didn't defend his cousin. He just listened. When I finally ran out of tears, mascara drying on my cheeks, he said quietly, "My cousin's an idiot. And one day he's going to realize exactly what he threw away. No anger, just certainty." Before he left, he scribbled his number on a scrap of paper. A week later, I texted him. Just a simple thank you. He responded within seconds. That's how it started. Messages became calls. He convinced me to step outside again. Sat with me while I relearned how to eat. Showed up on days when breathing felt like effort. Sometimes he just sat there, steady and quiet, like he wasn't going anywhere. Calls became dinners. Dinners became walks. Walks became nights that ended too late to drive home. His toothbrush appeared in my bathroom. Slowly, my life rearranged itself around someone who stayed. One morning, I realized I hadn't thought about Caleb in weeks. We got married this past January. 30 people. Just the ones who watched me fall apart and heal. One rule, no one tells Caleb. Not because I cared. I just didn't want him crashing a life he chose to leave. 9 quiet months later, the doorbell rang. It was Caleb. 3 years older. Same confident posture. Same rehearsed smile. He said he'd made the biggest mistake of his life. That the job wasn't worth losing me. That he was back for good. Then he asked if we could try again. As if 3 years were just a pause. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. My husband walked up beside me, coffee mug in hand, wearing an old flannel shirt with a ripped pocket. Caleb's old flannel. He wrapped his arm around my waist, easy and familiar. Caleb's eyes dropped to my left hand, to the ring, then slowly lifted to my husband's face. The color drained from him. My husband took a calm sip of coffee and said, "Hey cousin, been a while." Silence filled the doorway. I learned last week that Caleb lost that dream job 6 months ago. He's been living in his parents' basement ever since. Alone. Scrolling through old pictures of us. While I fall asleep every night next to the man who didn't leave.